You ever get that feeling like the universe is trying to whisper something in your ear, but the room's too loud? Everything around you buzzing, scrolling, shouting, and underneath it all, there's this urgency. Not panic, not chaos, something colder, quieter, like a knock on the inside of your ribs. You try to ignore it, of course, numb it, distract yourself with the usual noise like timelines, the fake smiles, sugar-coated doom. But it doesn't stop, it just waits. And it's not asking for your attention anymore. It's demanding You wake up, eyes open. But you're not really awake, are you? You're already scrolling, already plugged in, already digesting the static. And somewhere between the flickering screens and the caffeine-fueled routine, you miss it. The voice. Not loud. Not dramatic. Not the booming kind people expect when they imagine God talking. It's subtle. Like a glitch in the rhythm. Like your spirit just flinched. It felt something. And you ignored it because that's what we're taught to do. Numb the signal. Normalize the silence. Dismiss the divine as imagination and call the noise reality. You ever wonder why people are so uncomfortable with stillness? Why we blast music in empty rooms? Why we drown ourselves in distractions? Because silence is where the truth starts to leak through. And the truth, it's not always kind. Sometimes the truth wrecks your illusions. Sometimes it sets fire to everything you built on lies. And people don't want that. They want comfort. But God doesn't call you into comfort. He calls you into clarity, into confrontation, into war with yourself. Now, when I say God needs to talk to you, people get nervous. They picture punishment, judgment. But what if the real danger is not listening? What if the warning isn't fire from the sky, it's the slow rot of your potential? The decay of the parts of you that were meant to lead, to build, to transform, rotting away in the dungeon of delay. Because you were too afraid to pick up the call. Because you thought it would come later. After the job. After the relationship. After the fear goes away. But here's the problem with waiting for fear to leave. It doesn't. It adapts. It gets smarter. It finds new costumes. And while you're busy negotiating with your demons, time keeps moving. And God is still waiting. But not forever. Let's make something clear. This isn't about religion. This is about reality. The kind you feel, even if you can't explain it. That gut pull that shows up at 2 a.m. when everything else fades. That flash of purpose that hits in the middle of doing something you hate. That shiver in your chest when someone says something that accidentally aligns with the thing you've been trying to bury. That's the knock. The call. And it's not asking for permission anymore. It's funny. People will ignore 99 signs but follow one compliment. They'll reject truth if it makes them uncomfortable but embrace lies if it strokes their ego. They want affirmation without transformation. Want God to speak, but only if He says what they already want to hear. But that's not how this works. When He speaks, He doesn't stroke your pride, He shatters it. He doesn't ask, "Are you ready?" He tells you it's time. Not later. Not when you're perfect. Not when you're popular right now. In the middle of your mess. While you still think you're not qualified. Because that's the moment He shows up, not when you're impressive, but when you're real. So why now? Why you? Because something in you won't stay silent anymore. You've been pretending, playing small, hiding behind old stories. But your spirit's been restless, agitated, not by accident, by design. You're not being punished. You're being summoned. And the things that used to satisfy you, they don't hit the same. The people that used to validate you, they feel foreign now. That's not depression. That's evolution. That's your old self starting to break apart because your real self is starting to emerge. You think you're losing your mind. Maybe. But maybe you're just shedding the version of yourself that was built to survive instead of lead. And that's not a breakdown, it's an awakening. Painful. Of course, clarity always is, but necessary. Because if you keep ignoring the voice, it doesn't stop calling. It just starts calling. Louder through chaos, through loss, through the ache of mediocrity, until eventually the life you settle for becomes so loud you have to listen, or be consumed by. You ever wonder why everything around you feels rigged? Like no matter how hard you try, no matter how deep you breathe or how many books you read, something keeps pulling you back into the same dull rhythm. It's like living in a cage made of clocks and opinions. You wake up, brush your teeth, smile like a puppet, pretend everything's fine, all while your soul is sure screaming into a void that nobody even hears. That's not burnout. That's not laziness. That's the side effect of being called for more while being forced to exist in less. You see, when God starts moving in your life, He doesn't send a letter in the mail. He doesn't knock on your door with a halo and a harp. No. He starts by making the ordinary feel unbearable. Things that used to excite you, they rot in your hands. Conversations that once felt safe suddenly feel fake. The mask gets heavy. The routine becomes suffocating. That's how you know it's starting. The unraveling, the disruption, the holy chaos. Not to destroy you, but to strip away what can't follow you into the next chapter. That ache you carry, that quiet little ache that no one sees but you feel in the back of your throat when you're alone, that's not weakness. That's alignment. That's the tension between who you are and who you're pretending to be. Most people numb that feeling. They call it stress, anxiety, hormones, whatever helps them avoid the truth. But the truth doesn't care if it makes you uncomfortable. It's not here to be liked. It's here to wake you up. Because once you've been marked, chosen, called, whatever you want to call it, you don't get to go back. You don't get to play dumb. You can try. Oh, you will try. You'll chase distractions, relationships, fake goals that look shiny enough to keep you occupied. But somewhere deep in the background, that voice never stops. This isn't it. You were made for more. Why are you pretending to be normal? And it'll haunt you until you finally snap and admit it. You've outgrown the life you're living. But here's the twisted part. They don't warn you about what happens next. The loneliness, the silence, the disconnection. Because the second you say yes to growth, you say goodbye to comfort. You lose people. Not because you became toxic, because you became truthful. And the truth, it's offensive. It's disruptive. It ruins shallow conversations and kills small talk. You start craving depth. Realness, you start seeing through people. And they hate that. They liked you better when you were confused, distracted, easy to manipulate. Now, it's not just them you outgrow. You start outgrowing yourself, your habits, your excuses, the stories you've told yourself to stay safe. You look in the mirror and realize the person staring back isn't who you want to be anymore. You start burning bridges, not out of anger, but necessity. You don't have the luxury of dragging dead weight into your destiny. And guess what? That includes your old mindset. Because to walk in purpose, you have to walk in discomfort. You have to kill the version of you that was built to survive and resurrect the one that was born to lead. And that doesn't happen with motivational quotes and vision boards. It happens with fire, with isolation, with that dark, suffocating silence where you think you're being punished, but in reality you're being processed. You're being prepared. You're being stripped of everything fake so only the real can remain. But nobody claps for this part. Nobody posts about the nights you can't sleep because your spirit's too loud. Or the mornings you wake up with tears and no reason. Or the moments you smile in public while dying in private. This is the wilderness. This is the space between who you were and who you're becoming. And it's messy. Ugly, necessary, because it's here in the silence that your ears finally open, not to the world, but to Him, to that voice that was always there, waiting for you to shut up long enough to hear it. It won't scream, it never does. It will whisper, calm, steady, clear. And in that moment, if you're honest, if you're brave, you'll admit it to yourself. You'll say the words out loud. I'm not crazy. I'm being called. You can feel it, can't you? Like an itch beneath your skin that won't go away. No matter how much you achieve, no matter how many people applaud you, no matter how perfectly you play the part, there's this low hum in your chest, always buzzing, always reminding you this isn't it. This isn't all you were made for. You're not insane. You're not ungrateful. You're uncomfortable because your soul knows something your mind hasn't caught up to yet. You've been taught your whole life to stay in line. Be nice. Don't ruffle feathers. Be realistic. Chase the job, the car, the house, smile for the camera. Die quietly. But you weren't built for quiet. You weren't designed to be. Baiga. There's a reason you've never been able to sit still in a mediocre life without feeling like you're suffocating. There's a reason comfort never really comforts you. It was never meant to. Because you've been marked. And marked people don't blend in. Oh, they try, believe me, they try. They shrink themselves to fit into relationships that drain them. They stay in rooms where their silence is more welcome than their truth. They dim their brilliance just enough to not make others uncomfortable. And at first it works, for a while, until the pretending becomes more exhausting than the truth. Until you wake up and realize you're choking on your own potential. That's when things start to break. That's when the mask starts slipping. And when it does, you've got two choices: put it back on and keep dying slowly, or let it fall and live. But living, that's not as easy as they make it sound. See, the moment you start honoring your calling, you also start triggering everyone who refuses to honor theirs. You stop being inspirational and start being too much. People will tell you you've changed, that you're arrogant now, that you're acting different. And they're right. You've changed. Because you were supposed to. Growth doesn't ask for permission. It just shows up and starts rearranging everything that isn't real. And people don't like that. They don't like when you stop playing the role they assign to you. When you stop laughing at jokes that don't hit. When you stop entertaining conversations that insult your spirit. When you stop showing up for things that no longer feed your purpose. They call it selfish. They call it cold. But what they don't see is the war you had to fight to even hear your own voice again. The internal battle to admit that you're not just a person, they're not just a name, you're a message. A movement. And movements don't stay quiet. You start seeing the patterns, the cycles, how every time you get close to breakthrough, something or someone tries to pull you back. It's not coincidence. It's resistance. Because darkness doesn't fight darkness. It fights light. So the brighter you become, the more the attacks intensify. Not to stop you, but to distract you. Because if the enemy can't destroy you, he'll settle for delaying you. And what better way to delay you than to make you question yourself? Your timing, your worth, your identity. But that's the trick, isn't it? You keep waiting for clarity, for some kind of sign that you're on the right path. But the truth is, clarity comes after obedience, not before. The miracle isn't in knowing. It's in moving. Even when you're scared. Even when you're unsure. Even when your knees are shaking and your voice cracks. Because purpose isn't handed to you in perfect conditions. It's revealed in motion. One messy, uncomfortable, terrifying step at a time. You're not late. You're not broken. You're just finally starting to listen. And that voice inside you, the one that's been getting louder, the one that doesn't care about logic or approval or convenience, that's not your ego. That's your anointing. That's the part of you that remembers who you were before the world told you who to be. That's the spark trying to become a flame. And that flame, it wasn't meant to warm hands. It was meant to burn down the lies you've been living in. So no, you're not crazy. You're not unstable. You're just waking up. And waking up in a world that profits off your sleep, that's going to feel violent. But that violence, it's not destruction. It's birth. You start to notice it in small ways at first. People flinch when you speak the truth. Not because it's loud, not because it's wrong, but because it cuts through the illusions they've built their entire identity around. You sit in rooms filled with noise, conversations bouncing off walls like ping pong balls, but somehow none of it touches you. You're there physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you're orbiting a different planet. And that disconnect, it's not dysfunction, it's evolution. You're becoming allergic to the fake. They won't tell you this, but authenticity is dangerous. It threatens systems, it breaks routines. It terrifies the ones who've learned to survive by pretending. So when you walk into a room and refuse to play the part, when you let your soul speak instead of your social mask, you become a problem. Not because you're wrong, but because you're real. And realness, true, raw, uncompromising realness, is radioactive to people still clinging to comfort. What they don't understand is that you didn't choose this shift. You didn't wake up one day and decide to alienate yourself. It happened slowly, quietly. Like a whisper beneath the noise, you started seeing through smiles, hearing the manipulation hidden in compliments, feeling the emptiness behind titles, applause, attention. You started to realize that success without purpose is just a more expensive form of emptiness, that looking good isn't the same as being whole, and that the more you shrink yourself to fit in, the more you abandon the voice inside you that's begging to rise. So now you walk with a different energy, not arrogant, just aware. You're not mad, you're not bitter, you're just done apologizing for evolving, for growing, for asking deeper questions, for refusing to keep playing small so others don't feel insecure. And the people who once praised you, they start calling you distant, complicated, changed. But they don't see the price you paid for your peace, the battles you fought in silence, the nights you cried in private, the war it took to rebuild your mind from the inside out. Because let's be honest, becoming who you really are is violent, not to others, to the parts of you that had to die. The people pleaser, the perfectionist, the overthinker, the one who believed love had to be earned and truth had to be filtered. And each time one of those parts die, something sacred is born. Integrity, clarity, courage. Not the kind that screams, the kind that walks into chaos with calm eyes and a steady heart. Knowing it no longer needs to convince, explain, or prove, you begin to walk away from things that drain you, not out of anger, but alignment. You stop fighting for attention and start living in intention. You stop measuring your worth by metrics and start measuring it by meaning. You no longer chase approval like a starving animal because you've tasted the strength that comes from being internally fed. It's quiet, but it's unshakable. And once you touch it, once you feel that stillness in your chest where panic used to live, you can go back. But the world around you, it doesn't change as fast. It still wants the old you, the agreeable one, the predictable one, the one who smiled on cue and said yes to everything even when your soul was screaming. No, they want that version of you back, not because it served you, but because it served them. And when you stop performing, they call it rebellion. They say you're different. Damn right you are. You've met your truth, and now you refuse to pretend you didn't. You stop being the emotional sponge for other people's chaos. You stop explaining your piece to those committed to their drama. You stop giving CPR to relationships that flatlined years ago. You start honoring your time like it's sacred because it is. You start protecting your energy like your life depends on it because it does. And slowly, one boundary at a time, one honest conversation at a time, you carve out a space in Antium. You carve out a space in the world where your soul can actually breathe, where your purpose isn't just tolerated, it's home. And that is what scares them. Not your growth, not your confidence, but the fact that you no longer need them to validate who you are. You ever wonder why your success makes people uncomfortable? Not your loud, shiny moments, but the quiet ones, the subtle shifts when you start carrying yourself then. You step into a room and the air changes, not because you said anything, but because you stopped hiding. That's when the whispers start. That's when they say you're arrogant, you're too much, you've changed. And they're not wrong, you had to. People love the version of you that needs them. They adore the one that doubts, the one that plays safe, the one that doesn't know what they're worth. That version is non-threatening, controllable, predictable. But the moment you wake up to your value, the real kind, not the fake confidence plastered over insecurity, the whole dynamic shifts. You're not more than them. you're not better than them, but you're no longer beneath them, and that they can't handle. Because the minute you become aware of your power, the minute you stop begging for scraps and start owning your space, you stop being entertainment and start being a mirror. And people don't like mirrors, not honest ones, not the kind that reflect their own stagnation. It's easier to mock you, sabotage you, question you than to face their own lack of movement. Your glow becomes a reminder of everything they could be but chose not to become. And you're not even trying to outshine anyone. You're just trying to breathe. You're trying to stretch your legs without shackles. You're trying to speak without flinching, to take up space without guilt. But your liberation to them feels like defiance. It challenges the system of unspoken agreements they built there. Funny, isn't it? You drag yourself through the dirt, through the screams, through the nights where the walls feel like they're closing in, only to find out it was all just a test. Not the first, not the second, the last. You ever wonder why it feels the heaviest right before you give up? Why everything seems to fall apart just when you think you're getting close? It's because the final test isn't about what you can lift or what you can take. It's about what you'll become when there's nothing left to carry but yourself. They don't tell you that, do they? No. They want you to think it's about following the rules, smiling when it hurts, clapping along while you bleed inside. But deep down, you know, the real test is whether you'll still stand when there's no applause, no audience, no safety net. When the only voice you hear is the one whispering, "Keep going." They tell you it's supposed to get easier, don't they? That if you do the right things, follow the right path, smile at the right people, everything will fall into place like some neat little puzzle. But what they don't tell you, what they're too scared to admit, is that the pressure, the crushing, unbearable weight, it gets worse right before the breakthrough. It's like the universe is laughing in your face, daring you to quit, when you're just inches away from what you've been bleeding for. You see, the ones who make it, they're not the ones who never doubted, never stumbled, never cried themselves to sleep. They're the ones who kept moving even when the ground beneath them cracked open like a bad joke. They're the ones who didn't let the pressure turn them into dust. No, they let it turn them into something unrecognizable, something dangerous, something the world wasn't ready for. You think diamonds are born in peace? You think legends are made in comfort? No. They are hammered, crushed, burned, and still they shine. The pressure is the point. It's not some sick mistake. It's the final punch to the gut before you break through the wall that's been standing between you and everything you were too scared to grab with both hands. Most people fold. They start to question why it's so hard, why everything feels heavier the closer they get. They think maybe it's a sign to turn back, to shrink, to apologize for daring to dream bigger than the little cage they were born into. But you're smarter than that. You see the pattern. You know that the storm gets violent right before the skies clear. To game. A sick, twisted one, sure, but it's still a game. The pressure's there to see what's really inside you. It's easy to talk about strength when there's no weight on your shoulders. It's easy to preach about hope when everything's going right. But what about when the walls are closing in and you can barely breathe? What about when every voice in your head is screaming to quit? That's when the real you steps forward. That's when the masks fall off. Most people don't want to see that part. They want the highlight reel, the victory lap, the smiling photos after the storm. But the truth, the beautiful, brutal truth, is that greatness is born in the moments when everything hurts and you keep going anyway. The pressure isn't your enemy, it's your proof. Proof that you're close, proof that what you're fighting for is worth it. If it didn't matter, it wouldn't be this hard. If it wasn't important, you wouldn't feel like you're being ripped apart from the inside out. Pressure reveals what comfort hides. Pressure shows you your limits so you can tear them down with your bare hands. It exposes your weaknesses so you can destroy them before they destroy you. It turns your excuses into ashes. It's not there to stop you. It's there to build you, to mold you into something that can't be broken, can't be bought, can't be silenced. You think you're under attack? Good. That means you're onto something. That means the old version of you is dying, kicking and screaming because it knows it's being replaced by something stronger. I don't warn you about this part because most people never get here. They quit at the first sign of discomfort. They run back to safety the moment the heat turns up. But you're not most people. You're still standing. Bloodied, bruised, maybe barely holding on, but you're still here. And that's more than most can say. The pressure is the final gatekeeper. The last cruel laugh before the world is forced to take you seriously. It's the last monster standing between you and everything you've ever wanted. You can either let it crush you, or you can use it. Let it sharpen your mind, let it carve your instincts into weapons, let it teach you that there's nothing, absolutely nothing, that can stop someone who refuses to break. Every second you hold on under that weight, you're getting closer. Every breath you take when it feels like you're suffocating, you're proving that you're made of something different, something rare. Most people, they'll never know what that feels like. They'll never know the kind of pressure that comes when you're inches away from everything you've ever dreamed of. They'll live small, safe lives, and they'll call it happiness, but not you. You didn't come this far to turn back now. You didn't survive the storms just to drown in the rain. The greatest pressure always comes right before the breakthrough, because that's when you're closest to shattering the chains they put around you. That's when you're inches from tearing down the walls they said you'd never get past. Isolation, it's funny, isn't it? You think it's a punishment. You think when the calls stop coming, when the friends vanish, when the invitations dry up like a puddle under a cruel sun, that it means you did something wrong. You think you've been abandoned because you weren't good enough, bright enough, lovable enough. But maybe, just maybe, isolation isn't the universe kicking you out. Maybe it's dragging you away to sharpen you in secret. You see, growth doesn't happen under a spotlight. Greatness doesn't bloom while you're busy being everyone's favorite. No, real change, real evolution, it happens when the room falls silent. When you're sitting there with nothing but your own breathing, your own heartbeat, your own dark thoughts clawing at the walls. That's when the magic begins. That's when the masks fall off and you meet the creature you really are underneath all the... They don't tell you this because it would terrify you. The truth is, most people cling to the noise because they're scared to hear what the silence has to say. They fill every second with distractions, with meaningless chatter. with half friends and fake smiles just to avoid facing the fact that they have no idea who they are without the world propping them up. But isolation? Oh, isolation strips all that away. It yanks the stage out from under you and forces you to perform for an audience of one, yourself. At first it feels like death, like the world has swallowed you whole and spat you into some forgotten corner. You pace around, you scream into pillows, you look up at the ceiling and demand answers that never come. You feel small, you feel invisible. But that's part of the design. You're being carved out, gutted of all the weak, flimsy parts you used to think made you strong. You're being emptied, hollowed, prepared for something the noisy world could never handle. People who vanish, they were never going to stay anyway. The opportunities that dried up, they were never yours to begin with. The doors that slammed in your face, they were leading to cages dressed up as castles. Isolation rips away the illusion so you can finally see clearly. And what you see, it's not pretty at first. You see your insecurities, your failures, your weaknesses laid bare in the cold light of day. But you also see the embers, the burning pieces inside you that the noise never let you notice. And that's when it clicks. Isolation isn't here to bury you, it's here to birth you. It's preparing you for rooms that would have swallowed you whole if you entered too soon. It's toughening your skin, sharpening your mind, hardening your spirit into something that doesn't need applause to feel worthy, that doesn't need permission to be powerful. It teaches you how to walk alone, how to think alone, how to win alone. And once you learn that, no one can ever take it from you. You become untouchable, unpredictable. You stop chasing after crowds that would have trampled you if you caught up. You realize the real ones, the ones who will walk with you through fire, they don't need a spotlight to find you. They'll find you in the dark, when you're standing tall in the ruins everyone else was too scared to enter. Isolation makes you dangerous, not in the way they paint villains, but in the way that unsettles the comfortable. You stop being easy to manipulate. You stop being easy to distract. You stop being easy to break. The world can throw its worst at you, and you'll just smile because you already survived something worse, facing yourself. They won't understand when you come back different. They'll call you cold, distant, arrogant even. They'll whisper about how much you've changed, how they miss the old version of you. But what they really miss is the you they could control, the you that needed them to feel complete. That version of you had to die, and isolation was the executioner. The longer you stay in the silence, the clearer your vision becomes. You start to see the moves before they happen. You start to hear the lies under their smiles. You start to build without broadcasting, winning without asking for permission. They won't see you coming. They'll be too busy laughing at the empty seat you left behind. And by the time they realize the storm that's building in the shadows, it'll be too late. You'll already be too far ahead, too strong to stop, too forged by fire to fear anything that breathes. Isolation wasn't a punishment, it was a prophecy. It was the cocoon wrapping around you, giving you the space to destroy what was small and build what was unstoppable. Pain, it's a funny little thing, isn't it? Everyone's so terrified of it, they run from it like it's some kind of monster hiding under the bed. They spend their lives numbing it, denying it, pretending it doesn't exist. They pop pills, drown in drinks, scroll their lives away just to stay one step ahead of the sting. But what they don't realize is pain isn't the enemy. Pain is the gatekeeper to everything they say they want, but aren't brave enough to bleed for. See, pain doesn't come to destroy you. No, it's far too clever for that. Pain comes to crack you open, to tear apart the pretty little lies you tell yourself, to drag every weakness you tried to hide into the burning light so you have no choice but to deal with it. You can't fake it when you're in pain. You can't smile your way out. Pain strips you bare, leaves you raw, exposed, trembling, and that's when the real work begins. It falls from your face like it's some kind of punishment, like you did something wrong to deserve it. But the truth is, pain is the proof you're alive. It's the proof you're growing. It's the fire that melts away the plastic layers you've been wearing for so long you forgot what your real skin feels like. No change ever happens without it. No transformation is born from comfort. The caterpillar doesn't get to sleepwalk into becoming a butterfly. It has to tear itself apart first. It has to die to everything it thought it was. And you're no different. You think you're being punished because life hurts? You think the universe hates you because you cry yourself to sleep at night, wondering if it's ever going to get better? What if I told you that pain is the best thing that ever happened to you? What if I told you that every scream, every tear, every sleepless night is building something inside you that comfort never could? Strength doesn't come from sunny days and soft pillows. It's forged in the chaos. It's hammered out on the anvil of suffering. Most people will never find their true strength because they run from pain the second it taps them on the shoulder. They want the rewards without the scars. They want the throne without surviving the war. They don't understand that pain is the price of admission. You want power, you want freedom, you want to be untouchable, then you better learn to sit with your pain, to breathe through it, to let it teach you, mold you, sharpen you into something the world can't handle. Pain isn't random, it's precise. It shows up exactly where you need it most. It targets the lies you're living, the fears you're feeding, the weaknesses you're hiding behind. It points a ruthless spotlight on the areas you pretend aren't broken. And if you're smart, if you're crazy enough, you'll lean into it. You'll stop running. You'll let the pain do its job. It's not about becoming numb, it's about becoming real. It's about letting the pain burn away everything that's false until what's left is pure, indestructible, undeniable. It's about taking every hit, every betrayal, every heartbreak, and using them as fuel. They thought the pain would break you. They thought it would be the end of you. What they didn't realize was that pain is how legends are born. You don't get to choose whether or not pain visits you. It's coming, whether you're ready or not. The only thing you get to choose is what you do when it knocks on your door. You can either crumble under its weight, or you can open the door, invite it in, and let it rebuild you into something they never saw coming. People love to talk about becoming their best selves, but they whisper about the parts where they had to fall apart first. They show you the trophies but not the bloody knuckles. They sing about the sunrise, but stay silent about the endless nights they thought would never end. But that's where the real story is. Pain doesn't care about your plans. Pain doesn't care about your excuses. Pain comes to strip you down to your core and ask you one simple question. Who are you really? When there's nothing left to hide behind. Most people don't like their answer. Most people break, but the ones who don't, the ones who stare into the abyss and smile, they come back different. They come back dangerous. They come back ready to tear down the world if it dares to stand in their way. Pressure is a beautiful little monster, isn't it? Most people flinch when they feel it. They scramble to escape. They beg for the weight to be lifted like helpless children crying for a savior. But pressure is a gift wrapped in a nightmare. It doesn't come to crush you. No, it comes to carve you into something the world cannot ignore. You think diamonds just happen by accident? You think greatness just strolls through the door because you whispered some affirmations into a mirror? No, no, no. Diamonds are made under pressure so vicious it would shatter weaker things into dust. Steel isn't born in soft gardens under warm sunshine. It's forged in the belly of a furnace, screaming under the heat, beaten into shape by merciless blows until it becomes something unbreakable. And you think you're any different? You dream of being powerful, untouchable, unforgettable, but the moment the walls start closing in, the moment the heat gets turned up, you start looking for exits. You want the crown without surviving the execution. You want the fire without walking through the flames. But pressure, real pressure, is the universe's way of asking, are you serious or are you just pretending? You see, pressure reveals what comfort hides. It's easy to talk about loyalty, ambition, courage when everything's going your way. It's easy to put on a brave face when the stakes are low and the lights are flattering. But let the walls cave in a little, let the floor crack under your feet, let your so-called friends start whispering when you're not around. And suddenly the truth spills out. Suddenly the masks don't fit anymore. Pressure peels you back, layer by painful layer, until all that's left is the real you. Standing there naked and trembling in the storm. Most people don't survive that. Most people beg for mercy. Most people tap out long before they ever see what they're truly made of, but not you. If you're hearing this, if you're breathing through the ache, if you're standing in the rubble of your comfortable little life wondering what the hell is happening, congratulations. You're closer than you've ever been to the version of yourself you were always meant to become. Pressure doesn't want to destroy you, it wants to crown you. It's preparing you for thrones too heavy for cowards to carry. It's stretching your capacity, building muscles you didn't even know existed. Every second you stay standing, every second you refuse to quit, you're becoming something rare, something dangerous, something the world isn't ready for. They'll tell you it's too much. They'll tell you you're being punished. They'll whisper that you should just settle, just give in, just crawl back to the easy life they chose for themselves. But deep down, you'll know the truth. Easy is a trap. Comfort is a drug. Safety is a lie. You weren't built for small lives and quiet defeats. You were built to endure the kind of pressure that turns bones into weapons and hearts into engines of revolution. There's a certain beauty in breaking and refusing to stay broken, in feeling the weight of the world on your chest and laughing through the pain, in waking up every day in the middle of a battlefield and daring to believe that victory still belongs to you. That's what pressure creates. Not soft, fragile souls who need applause to survive, but monsters in the best sense of the word, unstoppable. Pressure doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't wait for you to feel ready. It kicks the door down when you least expect it. drags you out of your comfort zone by the throat and dares you to either evolve or evaporate. It's not personal. It's not cruel. It's just how greatness is made. The sooner you stop fighting it, the sooner you stop crying about how unfair it is, the sooner you realize that pressure isn't your enemy. It's your architect. It's sketching out the blueprints of a life bigger than the small dreams you were taught to settle for. It's hammering out the weak parts, sanding down the insecurities, sharpening the edges you tried to smooth over to make yourself more palatable to people who were never meant to understand you. Most will never get it. Most will break under the strain and spend the rest of their lives telling themselves and anyone who listened that the pressure was too much, that it wasn't their fault. But you're not most people. You were born to carry the weight. You were born to turn it into fuel. You were born to turn it into fuel. You were born to turn it into fuel. You were born to thrive inside it.